I would say, yeah. That's what I would say. So, here we are on the If the Body's Cold, the Joke's Too Old episode of Unbothered by Ty Rivera. Had some deaths. Been a rough week. Been a rough week.
And we're sitting on a dead man's couch.
That's why I'm saying. That's why it's all perfect. I
It
knew.
is.
I realized how perfect this was when I was on my way over here. When I was driving over here, I was like, "This is so perfect." Because we're at Hoodie's place.
We
I'm gonna be
are.
staying. I knew I was gonna be staying here. You know, when they, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was on my way over here is when I
You were
really knew.
traveling to the location. Do you want to tell the poor people who are like, who the fuck is talking?
Oh, everybody. I have special guest, Amy Blackwell, Phoenix's own.
Oh, yes.
Amy
yes.
Blackwell.
I feel so special right now.
Just to give you guys a little bit of background, I've known Amy Blackwell for a good minute now. We did Jokers out in Richland, Washington together.
Tri-Cities, motherfuckers.
Yup, that we sure did. We went to the gay club out there, out and about. Shout out to
Shout out,
DJ
shout
Sco.
Yeah. We walked that runway. We danced in a cage.
Yeah, we did dance in a cage.
Did.
And then we've also done stand-up Scottsdale together.
Yes.
And then some other little stuff.
Yeah, little things here and there.
Yeah, just around town stuff when
Yeah.
I'm in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're here at the apartment of Gary Hoodie. If you guys didn't know what happened, I was on my way. I was going to say bye to a friend, and then I was going to leave Phoenix. That was literally the way things were supposed to work out. And as I'm getting to my friend's house, I get a phone call, and it was the manager of this club. And he was like, "We heard you were in Phoenix. Are you going to be around? Would you want to come out to Tucson and feature?" And right away in my head, I was like, yeah, I'm not going
Right.
anywhere else. You know, I was just going to go home and do mics in LA and hang out.
Yeah.
So if I can make a little bit of money
Mm-hmm.
and do actual stage time, and getting to feature is great for me too because I can do 25 minutes.
Oh, it's a sweet spot.
Yeah, and it
So
really
nice.
is. I don't have to deal with check drop. I can just work on shit.
And you have no housekeeping to do.
Yeah, and
You
I
don't
just
have to talk
happened to be
about
an
shit.
hour and a half away, so I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, let me
Do
drive
it.
out there.
Right.
Yeah, and then I'm staying in Hoodies, which, like, some people, if you guys don't know at home, the club I'm at is Laughs in Tucson. Gary Hoodie was what was he officially?
You know, I think he was Mr. Bynum's assistant.
Yeah, that makes sense, because he was, yeah.
But he managed a good portion of things in regards to like the comics at the club. He did sound, you know, he really regulated a lot of things in the showroom. Like the showroom was his domain.
Yeah, and he was also kind of the hospitality guy for the
Yeah.
comics.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know,
he
he
made
would,
sure you were good and knew the rules and knew where things were.
yeah,
and
tell
what-
us where things
who
were.
to ask for and like what the deals were for comics on drinks and food and
And for you guys that don't know at home, Mr. Bynum is the owner of
Yes.
Laughs Comedy Club. So when we say Gary Hoodie was his assistant, he was his assistant and always at the comedy club.
yeah.
And he was just day-to-day operations guy.
Yeah, he would do the telemarketing, you know, and kind of manage the team that they had in there, and he'd, you know, I think he'd come up with the passwords and, you know, have fun
Yeah,
with
and the
that.
features
He'd answer
and the
phones.
openers would stay here at Hoodie's house.
Yes.
And I came in, the first time I ever came in was as a headliner. So this is my first time featuring, even though I've headlined here several times.
So, but this isn't your first time here at the house.
Well, I hung out at the house once with Hoodie and Joey G.
Yeah.
Joey G is a Tucson comic. For anybody that doesn't know Joey G, look him up on Facebook.
Yes.
But yeah, Joey G and Hoodie, we all hung out here. And the thing is, like, I know some people would be creeped out about staying at a place because he did die here in the house.
Right. On the couch we are sitting on,
Yeah.
chatting. Although we have left space for him. That's where he would sit, would be more in the center.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be on this couch if he was here. Maybe
No, we would not.
Joey G, but I remember I sat
One
in a
of us
chair.
might have been.
Yeah,
and
I
then
sat
the
in a
other was
chair. Yeah,
definitely- because he's not a tiny fella.
but yeah, and then another friend died, Mel Cole. And Mel Cole, my friend Chris Neff got upset with me about that one, and we're gonna do an episode of Unbothered.
Yeah.
And Chris had gotten mad at me because he thought I was being a dick when really I was just being a comic.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I liked Mel Cole a lot. Like, I would honestly say I loved Mel Cole just because we had such a long time where we were doing the same shit gigs in LA, like
Yeah.
Ireland's 32, the
Yeah.
Canoga Bowl, and like, you know, people tried their best to make the rooms good. It wasn't their fault they were shit gigs, but just, you know, sometimes when you're performing in a Irish pub in the Valley,
Yeah.
they're just not going to be the best
No,
audience.
they're not going to be good.
You'll have your
Yeah.
nights where you rock them, or you know,
Right.
like some people, but like it's just a lot of like really putting in the work and what they
Yeah.
call the grind in LA
Yes.
for comedy.
It's a workout.
Yeah, and Mel was always very encouraging of me. He used me for a couple of gigs that were unpaid but booked, and I
Yeah.
appreciated that. But yeah, I really did love Mel. So when I heard that, you know, that he died, my friend Renee was the one that told me, and we were
Yeah.
on the phone. And then I said, I'd like to say I'm broken up, but I've seen him die at least 100 times on stage. And so Renee, like,
And yeah, you were being a comic, but some
but
people
Renee
don't take
paused,
it
and then
well.
she laughed, and I was like, that's exactly what I want to make happen right now. You know what I mean? And so I posted that on Facebook because that was my way of putting an RIP, you know, and I did do the RIP at the end, but that was my way of doing an RIP.
Right.
Like, that's giving you a shout out without
Yeah.
being the same sappy that everybody else
I'm
is
so
saying.
sorry, and you know what? And of course we are.
And those have their place too. Like those
yeah.
people should share their
If
story
someone,
as well.
If someone loses their mother, you know, you don't go in with a joke. You know, I'm so sorry. You know,
Yeah.
let me know. if you need
Unless I
anything.
know your mother.
Unless you know, yeah, you know, if you know the mom and you know, and you say the shit that's gonna make that person laugh, because that's how comics. I mean, I think that's how a lot of people actually deal with death. Is they make inappropriate jokes, and they laugh, and they feel better. You know, I posted that thing about the assholes in my car that I had some people in my car that I kicked out of the car, and while they were exiting the vehicle, just send a bunch of berated, you know, horrible, you know, like, you're a fucking fat, stupid bitch, blah, blah, blah. I hope you die tonight. And then threw a bag of food at my face. And I posted a video about it. And I posted the video because I just needed to get it off my chest real quick. But then all the comments were like old, you know, girlfriends that I went to high school with and stuff. Like, Amy, you're beautiful. Don't let them get you down. Those little assholes. And I was waiting. I was like, I need a fucking comic to come on here. Because, like, and it was making me feel worse about it, that I was getting all these well wishes. And then finally a comic came on and goes, what kind of food? And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Because we need that absurd release when we're dealing with something that tragic. It's hard.
Yeah, and not all of us deal with things the same way. Like, that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that I try to get across to people, and I'm fine with all of it. Like, I'm
Right.
not saying that you shouldn't put a post that says, like, you know,
Right.
a heartfelt,
Of
like,
course.
RIP, then cool, that's cool too.
But I'm going to do what I think
Yeah, and that's a
honors
different
them,
side.
And yeah.
And I know what Mel liked about me. Like with
Yeah.
Fat James, when Fat James died, who was a comic and had been on Malcolm in the Middle and done, like, you know, kind of a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
the character actor type space.
Right.
And I think he really would have taken off at some point if he had lived.
Yeah.
But he died of cancer. And
Oh.
the night that he, you know, that we had like our first show after he died,
Yeah.
I did this set where I just roasted the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And everybody was fucking dying.
Right.
Because it was all like not surface I hate you shit.
Right.
It was like
Personal.
yeah,
Like,
because
what would
Fat
have
James
made
had
them
puked in my
laugh.
fucking car. Like he got drunk.
Right.
I put a trash bag on his belly, and I was like, if you get sick, James, puke into this. He puked all over my fucking car. I had to drive him back from Rancho Cucamonga. At the time,
Yeah.
I was living in Glendale.
Yeah.
And I was behind him, and he was called Fat James for a reason. He
Right.
was Fat James,
Yeah.
and like I was trying to guide him from
Yeah.
behind, like with my hand kind of behind his butt as he's making his way up these steep stairs that get to my apartment. And in my head, the whole time it was happening, I was just thinking, if he falls backwards, I'm not gonna help anything. I'm dead.
I'm
Yeah,
dead.
it's not. I don't know why I'm even doing this right
what
now.
is this serving? Like, how is this working for anybody?
Yeah, and so and then since he had puked in my car, then I had to clean it up, and
Yeah.
so he was saying that he would, because could only clean it so well, like
Right.
myself, and so he said he would get it steam cleaned, and I gave him a ride back to Rancho
Oh, good.
Cucamonga the
Yeah.
next day. And then he never ended up getting it steam cleaned.
Oh, no.
And at the time, I was a new comic and didn't have a lot of money to pay for a steam cleaning, which is only like $50. And he was
But
on
still.
TV on all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So for him, $50 is nothing. For me,
$50 is everything.
yeah, it's like I don't have $50
You're
to.
like,
just-
that's groceries.
I guess I'm just gonna be smelling your puke for the next. And yeah, it lasted a while. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
and I
not
tried
an
cleaning it
easy
more than
scent.
once. Believe me,
Next
I was.
time, vinegar.
Yeah.
Vinegar
So.
is the thing that
Oh, is
removes
it
smell.
vinegar?
Vinegar is great. It'll smell like vinegar for a little while, but
I'm
it's
fine with
definitely
the smell
something
of
that
vinegar.
will cut through some stank.
Yeah, good to know.
Vinegar is a godsend. It's amazing for so many things.
Yeah, good to know because, but yeah, and so like in my set there was
Yeah,
that,
you
and
fucked
there
with
was
them over that.
there was
like,
the good and the bad, you know.
yeah, of course. Well, like Hoodie's Memorial, you weren't able to attend that, and that was honestly, it was like a Hoodie roast.
That makes perfect sense.
And for him, oh my God, he was cracking up.
Oh yeah,
Like
well,
he heard everything and loved it all.
joking all the time. Yeah,
All
Hoodie
the
was
time.
always
And so
joking.
he would expect nothing less than a bunch of people that loved him getting up and talking shit about him. And that was one of the funnest moments for me in that process. Well, not in that process, in general. Like there aren't a lot of fun moments in the process of grieving, but getting up there and basically fucking with Hoodie, even though, he's gone, and we all miss him and we're all sad, like hearing the laughter from the audience and knowing he would have loved to hear those words.
You know what a lot of people don't get about me is I don't have a lot of the grieving in the traditional way anymore.
Right.
And some people think that it's an insensitive thing, and
It's
I
not.
guess it
It's-
kind of like not insensitive, but
I think you build up a tolerance in that sense of like, weeping and being physically upset over, the loss. You can be sad and still feel that same heaviness and that same grief, but it's just you've had so many times. It builds up like a tolerance to the emotion. You know
yeah,
what I
and
mean?
also like in life, I feel like we experience a million mini deaths.
Yeah.
Like even if you think about like the end of relationships,
Absolutely. You go
friendships
through
that
the
end up breaking
same
up, and sometimes
grief
like even
process.
at the time you don't realize that they affected you.
Mhm.
It's afterwards or at a time when everybody else has settled down.
Yeah.
And I think that also comes from the fact that I feel like I always have to be strong for the people around
Yeah.
me when things.
Well, or entertaining. Like
Yeah,
you
'cause
feel like
I'm
it's
that.
my job to make everybody feel a little better.
Yeah.
And so you kind of callous off in a way, but like it doesn't mean you don't feel it at some point. You do.
Yeah, and then I've
Um,
also mentioned when I was younger, I was raised to believe that when you die, you go to heaven, and
Right.
heaven's great and it's better.
Right.
And so for me at this point, like grieving in the
It's- yeah.
traditional way almost feels sort of selfish because I feel like I'm doing it for me.
Right.
Like I'm doing it because I miss them, and
well,
it's
and that's what a
important
funeral is for, a memorial is for. It's not.
to. Yeah,
I mean,
and
the
it's
person's
important
dead,
to
but it's
honor
for
that.
the people. Yeah.
It's important to honor that feeling in
Yeah.
yourself when you feel it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't really dwell on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's
I've gone through so much death in the last couple years that for me, it's like I have to just be like, well, that is sad, and I'm sorry for those grieving, but I don't have to take on every death the way I did prior to losing my best friend and my dad.
yeah, and you don't have to
know?
take on the death the way the people
Yeah.
around you do. Like that's what
No.
gets on my nerves sometimes is when like to me it feels like who said that you get to decide what we're all supposed to be feeling right now?
Yeah.
Maybe I go through things
It's like if you
differently.
feel it very
Maybe I
strong-
go
yeah.
through things differently than
Yeah.
you do.
Right.
And you're trying to tell me that this is what I should be feeling now.
Right.
And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm feeling right now. And I'm fine with you feeling that. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it and tell you you shouldn't. But you can't tell me that this is now the way I'm supposed to feel and you've decided this is what we're all supposed to feel. It's just not the way it works.
No, you watch you watch shows that are like, murder investigation shows, and they're like, well, he didn't act like a man who had just lost his wife. How do you know what that's supposed to look like? Because every man that just lost his wife is going to react a different way. Some go into shock, some immediately break down, some
are relieved.
Just
some are relieved.
Maybe that bitch is gone.
Yeah, like there are, that's happened in marriages before.
Sure.
They didn't have anything to do with it, but they were like,
they're like, oh. That made this a whole lot easier.
If there's a little insurance, and like if you didn't kill him, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I guess I should be broken up. I mean, she was a good wife and whatnot, but
yeah, I had that happen once. And
I really
got
was
mad
considering
at me.
divorce or having an affair.
Comics hated me for that, but it was like there was this comic that just wasn't nice to me one time, and so I didn't. And I had given him an opportunity to apologize for it because he wanted to be my friend.
Right.
Almost immediately after. It was like the same day he was like trying to, and I was just like, no, you already tried to be shitty.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Like either apologize and we move on. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you justify and tell me why you acted like an asshole.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, all you need to do is say, I'm sorry.
Right. Sometimes it's that simple.
We'll be done.
Right.
But he was like, no, well, you have to understand. No, I don't have to understand anything.
No.
You were an asshole to me when I've always been nice to you.
Just apologize. I don't need the reason, justification, or excuses. Just apologize.
Yeah, that's it.
And you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're done, and it's easy. It's simple.
And we're friends like we were before. I
Yeah.
remember I told him that in so many words. I was like, and we're friends just like we were before.
Right.
And then he just wouldn't stop. And so I just literally walked away from him.
Yeah.
And then another day he came up to me and tried to like go into another explanation. And this time I didn't say anything to him because he already knows the rules. So I just walked away from him. And then like after that, he would try to make me uncomfortable just by always getting close to me. Like, and not close in a creepy way, but just in a way like,
I'm in your presence. I'm in your bubble. Yeah. Right.
And then he ended up dying, and then everybody was like feeling however about it, and I just was like, "Well," and it's not funny now. Like I
now
do,
he can't bug me.
I do respect that he's dead. Like people just don't get like my thinking on certain things, but I respect it. But at the same time, it's like
whenever a celebrity dies, we don't all have to fall out all over ourselves in mourning over a celebrity. We didn't know them.
Yeah.
We might have appreciated their work. And I'll admit there are certain celebrities that have passed that I have been really upset about them going. And there have been some that I'm like, I respect that a lot of people had a major life-changing event because of this person, but I didn't.
I get it. You want to talk about Fidel Castro?
I know.
Go ahead.
He was really my sexual awakening.
Well, I think everybody's
it's the
kinda.
facial hair. I mean, how can you resist?
A man in a cap.
Yeah. And he totally ruined Florence Henderson's death.
Oh yeah, he came in.
We were all sad about Flo Hen dying at a reasonable age, for fuck's sake. 82 years old. Yeah, surprise, she died.
Oh, that's the other reason I don't think the way about death that a lot of people do. Because some really great things have happened to me on quote unquote tragic days. Like the day that Michael Jackson died.
Yeah.
It was the day that I got let know that I had gotten live at Gotham on Comedy Central.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so everybody else was bummed out about Michael Jackson. I was like, you guys, I'm going to be on Comedy. Like in my head, I was just like, I didn't tell anybody except for my best friend because I didn't want to jinx it. I told my best friend and I told Kane Lopez who died. And when I told him, he was on his deathbed literally. Yeah,
Wow.
completely out of it. But I swear I saw something like a flicker in his eyes when I told him because he was like Kane Lopez was a person I wasn't besties with or
Yeah.
anything like that. But we were always very cool, and he had
Yeah.
been in comedy longer, and he was a Latino comic, and he was very supportive of me, and
Nice.
really always went out of his way to be like,
Yeah. Just good to you.
yeah, just
Yeah.
let me know that he liked me and thought I was doing well, and talked to me and asked me questions like I was a comic before I
Yeah.
was a comic.
Yeah. There's so much kindness in that.
Yeah,
It's allowing someone to feel like they're on your level,
yeah.
you know.
And I was true open micer, and he was on the
Yeah.
road all the time.
But to give you that respect and to be like that's a very giving thing for a comic to do, because it's hard not to be jaded in this business. It's hard not to have a puppy coming up to you and not want to be like, get the fuck away from me, puppy.
Yeah.
I get it. You're excited. You're new. You think I'm funny. That's great. But calm the fuck down. But you don't want to like shatter. So when you try to give them that respect of,
Yeah, and he had already had cancer before I met him.
yeah.
And they had cut out part of his throat, and
Oh, man.
I think, or was it an accident and cancer, or maybe it was just the accident.
Yeah. Folks, feel free to tweet in the answer to that question.
Yeah, no, because like I said, we weren't besties. I just
Right.
knew, like, I think it was an accident. It was part of his.
That's something he'd had.
Yeah,
his
and
throat.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it had to be cancer because they actually cut part of his throat out. Well, part of his neck out. And so there was that. And then it came back, and I just remember my friend Zelda was like, because it had been a couple years or whatever, and my friend Zelda called me, and she was like, Kane is in the hospital. So I went to see him, and it was when he was still walking around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't in the end stages of.
yeah, it seemed like,
Yeah.
if you asked me,
Like you're getting there, but you're still mobile. You're still,
I felt like he was going to come back.
Yeah.
I felt like he was just going to have to fight it
Yeah.
again, and then, he would be back. And then a couple weeks later, Zelda hit me up, and she was like, if you're ready to say, the doctor said that it's time
Now's
for
the
last
time.
goodbyes.
Yeah. Ugh.
If anybody. And so I went straight there. I was
Yeah.
on my way back from a gig, and I went straight there, and I hadn't told anybody except for my best friend
Yeah.
that was there when it happened.
Right.
I was staying at his house technically in the Bay, my friend Chris Storin.
Yeah.
And then I told Kane, while he was out of it, like bad,
Yeah.
like he was,
It's, pretty unresponsive.
yeah, and the machine was breathing for him,
Yeah.
and it was, but then I felt like all sorts of shit happens. My sister died when I was younger. Like
Yeah.
it's like I've had so many things happen where it's just like I can't fall apart every time everybody
Right. I
decides
mean,
it's
it's-
time for me to fall apart.
Right.
And
fall
then
apart when you're ready to fall apart.
yeah,
Like,
and then when you
my-
mention like celebrities, it's kind of like, yeah, I've had people I know die, so I'm
I
not
would
going to
much
get
rather
broken
give
up
them
like
more of my love and not to say that we don't have enough capacity to do that for everyone, but
yeah, but I haven't
we
seen
don't
Florence
need
Henderson
to,
in
and I
years,
want it
even
to
on
be-
TV.
I want it to be just a genuine response. Like I don't want to fake it to make other people comfortable. When my dad died, I had just flown to San Francisco. I had gotten there that morning. I was competing in the San Francisco comedy competition, and my mom calls me. And I'd been traveling all morning, had just kind of gotten in. My mom calls me. I'm staying at a place. I'm staying with a bunch of comics I don't know, I've never met, but they were kind enough to open their doors up for me. And I get a call from my mom, and she's like, Amy, you need to sit down. And I'm like, what? Why? What's going on? And I assumed something had happened to my son, because that's usually what's going on. My son is in prison. So at the time he was in jail, And so I was expecting any moment for my mom to call me and tell me that my son had killed himself. And that was in the back of my mind constantly. And so when she said, sit down, and I was like, and that's what crossed my mind. I said, what? I said, just tell me. And she said, your dad died. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean he died? And then she tells me that he had died and been alone in his apartment, dead for a few days. And so it wasn't even like, hey, your dad just died. It was, your dad's been dead for a few days. We just found out. And so there was like an additional thing to that was just very disturbing to me. Because I don't think anyone should die and not have someone there shortly thereafter, you know?
Yeah, it would suck. I mean, like I think a lot of people think about that, like how long it would be before somebody actually
would
knew.
Notice I was even dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's but you know, things happen different ways. It's like I don't know.
Well, that was the thing is I didn't have time to grieve that. I had a competition that night, and for the next 4 days, I had no friends to be like, hey, you know, my dad died, and have them be that, oh my God, Amy, I'm so sorry, you know, and know like how to comfort me. I was with strangers. And so I had to just kind of suck it up and go through the competition, and knew that there would be a breaking point where I would crumble and cry. And it didn't come for quite a while. And it wasn't until I was actually there handling his affairs. And he lived in Pasco.
Oh, yeah. So you were back in the Tri-Cities.
I was back in the Tri-Cities, yeah.
How long ago was this?
This was last year in September.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it was crazy but that's how I had to deal with it. Sometimes you don't have the ability to allow yourself to grieve because you've got to take care of things and handle arrangements, and you don't have time.
Yeah, people should just leave you alone on that.
People just need to let you grieve how you grieve.
Oh, I agree 100%. That's what I wish people would get. Like, there just needs to be more.
Well, and celebrate the way they celebrate and have their own emotional connection to things that they have. It goes in all areas. Like, we need to allow ourselves to be who we are in our joys and triumphs and our sorrows, and not judge.
Well, that's what people get annoyed with, because I'm myself in all of these situations, and I think that's the best way for me to do anything. And I wish more people would do that. Like, I do feel like it's important to just try to be you all the time. I mean, and you don't have to try to be you. Really, you find out after a while that that a long time or a lot of time was spent trying to be what you were supposed to be for other people.
Right.
And it's just such a waste of time and such an unproductive way to live, and not even helpful to the people around you.
No, because they're not getting the version of you that you are.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you try to hold back the truth on the way you feel, like I find, even though a lot of people think that I think a lot of people would think that I'm abrasive in everyday life, I do find gentle ways to let my friends know, you know, kind of what I think they're doing wrong in certain instances, if they ask and if there is a problem. You know, a lot of my friends are grown up enough that I feel like they're navigating their lives well, and I surround myself with people that, you know, want to have their stuff together.
Right.
And so,
well, and there's no reason to be like to have everybody like you. You know, you don't not everybody's going to like you. So that idea that like people think you're abrasive, and it's like you're not trying to be everyone's best friend.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't sound like a harsh thing to say that.
Yeah, and I only have so much time to dedicate to friend life anyway. Like, I don't even have a relationship, you know, and I can't concentrate on that right now, nor do I want to at the moment. It's just not where I'm at, you know, and people try to judge for that too. They're like, you know, don't you think? And it's like, no, I mean, like, if that were to naturally just drop in my lap, I wouldn't turn it away.
Right.
But I'm not going to be like chasing my tail trying to, you know, figure out like, oh, I need to be in a relationship or need to start thinking about settling down.
Yeah, I'm learning about like just kind of allowing what's happening to happen and not bug out and overanalyze and where is this going and when is it going to become this and when are we labeling things, and instead of just being like, this boy's cute, he's fun to hang out with, cool.
Yeah, well, because I think we're trained from an early age to have all these
couple.
expectations.
Just couple
and,
up, couple up, couple up. You've got to couple up. And
Yeah,
it's
and at
like
a
you
certain point, you
don't.
should be engaged, and at a certain point, you
Right.
should
And
be
it's a
married.
societal social contract that we find the one person that we're going to spend the rest of our lives with. And I just think that's a silly idea.
Yeah, I don't think I'm meant to spend the rest of my life with just one person. I could end up
Right.
being wrong, but I don't feel
Right.
like
But
I am.
in our business, though, it's hard enough to have a monogamous and fruitful relationship because we're gone so often. So it's hard to like really, put the time and the effort into growing and flowering a relationship.
We give them nothing.
We it's so hard.
Yeah, we're not around that much.
And it's not that that's what we want. And that's what's hard about it. It's like being in a couple and as a comic, like you've both got to have your own shit going on.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of comic couples start to get jealousy issues and stuff because one of them's doing really well and the other one's not going up as
when
much.
I dated my ex, and he was actually very, very mild with ego in that regard. Like he wasn't, he wasn't actively like super pursuing it anyway. So it wasn't, but there were still times where, you could see that little bit of resentment coming from if I was doing, pretty successfusly. But at the same time,
there's also the open mics and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's where people lose a lot of times. People will like a lot of times partners don't understand that because there's so much time that we're working but not getting paid.
Yeah.
And they
yeah,
don't
so for a
understand
comic
the,
that's
like,
with somebody that's not a comic. Or you mean just like a comic that's maybe not as successful?
I've even seen both sides, just I'm saying in general, when people are, dating comics, we really do give them nothing.
Yeah, and it's not an effort to give them nothing. It's just we're gone. We're gone and we're constantly thinking about, what jokes we're gonna, we're writing.
Yeah, we're not gonna be there for weddings. We're not gonna be there for people's birthdays. We're
Yeah.
not gonna be there for family reunions. Just a lot of stuff we're not.
Yeah, sometimes we're not gonna be there for New Year's or Christmas or Thanksgiving because we got a week that we couldn't pass up.
No, I was in one Thanksgiving. I was performing for the troops in Okinawa.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where I was one Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, the other guy on the tour, God rest his soul. I guess we're still staying with because he ended up dying.
People need to quit dying around you.
Yeah.
Like or maybe you need to like no new friends. Okay.
Well,
Stop killing people. Rivera. Did I even say your name right? Jesus. Well, Rivera. That didn't sound right. What's
Yeah.
your fucking name?
I
may be a little high.
He was really acting like a crybaby about it.
Yeah, about missing Thanksgiving.
Because he had a family and whatever else.
It's like, then why did you take the
Yeah,
gig?
months in advance we were booked for this gig, and the way that they told us was Thanksgiving.
Right.
They didn't try to just slip it in
November
the dates.
23rd through the 26th.
Yeah, they were like,
oh yeah, I think I'm free. Why am I free? I don't.
Do you want to do Thanksgiving week? And it was in an email.
I got a gig for you December 25th, if you can make it out.
Yeah, and he was not doing well anyway, and he was headlining, and I was featuring, and yeah, he was getting his ass handed to him, and
that's because his focus was elsewhere, and we can't allow that to happen.
Well, even that, like he hadn't been doing comedy for a long time, but
well, then why the fuck was he headlining?
Yeah, the whole thing is we have to be away from our families, and so he was, and because he was related to the booker. But.
Oh, good old nepotism.
Yeah, there was no reason for him to be headlining, especially
the good old neps.
He had been out of stand-up for several years.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and this was like the first thing he was doing in a long time.
And it's an overseas USO type
and
tour.
It's 45 minutes, and he had an old style.
Jesus.
Like he was talking about, being a good daddy and how he doesn't want his daughter to grow up to be a stripper. And I'm like, these are the guys that go to see strippers.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, don't make them feel bad.
Yeah, and it's...
Well, it's know your audience. You can't do that if you're in and out of comedy and you're not, on a regular
Yeah, and you're talking to young guys.
Yeah.
You know, they go to strippers and they're fucking out there, and
Yeah.
like, you know, it's just it was so not good for the audience that he was
Yeah.
working with. And so they ended up asking me after, I think it was the second show. They asked me if I would switch and
Yeah.
be the headliner
Yeah.
or close out the shows.
Right.
And they said that there was no money though, like no more
No
money that
change
they
in
could
the
pay
money,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I said no
Yeah.
because I'm not having ruffled feathers
No.
over no extra
No.
money.
No.
Over some extra money,
You pay me a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll
go
ruffle
ahead
your
and take it.
feathers.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll ruffle your feathers for real.
Because maybe you need to learn a lesson. But yeah. No, if they're not gonna
But I'm
pay,
not gonna have your bitter ass looking at me
Yeah.
sideways the rest of the trip over
Right.
no extra
you're like,
money.
we got a long motherfucking flight home.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to pay someone to switch seats.
Yeah, there was a lot of in between time on the
Yeah.
van,
Right.
You know, like that too.
You're like, I want to be able to like look this dude in the eye for the next.
And he was so lame. He ruined the trip. He really did
Yeah.
ruin the trip because we're in Okinawa, and you know, if you just had,
How about just be thankful you're in Okinawa? Fuck.
yeah, and I
Like,
guess he didn't bring money with him. I'm glad I'm not saying his name.
Yeah.
But he didn't bring money with him, so he had to ask them to borrow some money, like, you know, the person that was in charge of us.
Right.
And since they know we're
Well, did
getting
he
paid,
think the per diem was they were literally going to be like, here's your.
no, we knew
each
how that
day?
worked. They had told us to bring, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
brought like $200, and then
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I'll just change it over as I need it.
Right.
Turned out that I didn't end up doing anything, so I didn't need to, like, maybe I did $20 or something,
Should
you
have
know.
bought it. You should have bought like a nice kimono.
Well, you shut up. I'm not gonna buy a kimono.
You would look fabulous in a kimono.
All I had done was reflexology.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
because
You didn't do the like pedicure where you put your
With the
feet in the
fish?
fucking fish? Yeah.
no, I would do that, but I
I
didn't
would
do it.
totally. Let's go to Okinawa.
Yeah,
together.
yeah, they did.
And
See,
we will
that's
go and
the
do
thing,
that.
the kind of thing that we should have done, but instead
Right. It was
he
just
was
mopey
bummed
McGee.
out, and yeah, like it was like, what's
Well, it's
the
like,
matter
let's
with
have
you?
a Thanksgiving. We'll take some pictures, send it to your kid. They'll be amused at how we did that. You know, like you.
Oh,
just
and the
fucking figure
military
it
had their
out.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so
we got driven to
What
that.
better way? My family could go fuck themselves if I had the chance to go be with our servicemen and women for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They were really
be honored that you
thankful.
got to do that.
They were really thankful
and to
for
show
us
your
even being
thanks
there.
for being, in the military and protecting our
Yeah,
country.
and that is great. But the appreciation that they show you,
It's amazing. Yeah.
because they like you're flying in and being a part of home for them.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
So
like you
find
sit and
the
chat with
joy
them a
in
little bit
that.
afterwards. And it's like, you know, a lot of times they just want, like, if they happen to be near California,
Yeah.
they'll, you know, like, I'm from LA, you know, and a lot of
Yeah.
these kids, it is their first, you know, holidays
Oh my
away
gosh,
from their
yeah.
families. And there they are in Okinawa, which is completely different.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And, you know,
I mean, they keep the base pretty Americanized, so they feel pretty comfortable. But I mean,
yeah, with Popeye's chicken and
Yeah, they
Taco
have that
Bell
stuff,
and like,
but-
yeah, that's what.
but once you go off post or off base, I mean, it's literally a whole nother world.
Yeah.
And so to have those things that are familiar and comfortable, like, I don't understand how anyone could get an opportunity to go to another country that's exotic, unique, and incredibly interesting, and get to be amongst the people there and their culture, and bitch and moan that you didn't get to do something you've been doing every year for the last however fucking old you are.
Yeah, and being
Miss
that,
a turkey day.
and being
enjoy-
that old and not knowing to bring some money with you.
Yeah.
Or like I just didn't know what he was doing altogether, and I
Just
tried to be cool
idiot.
about it, but I just wasn't feeling him. And he ended up dying a couple years later. I had nothing to do with it. Again, I didn't feel particularly bad because all I remember, like, I didn't
Ty
hate him. I
is
didn't
a
think
murderer.
he deserved to die. I'm not
Right.
saying
There's
anything
no
like that.
reason, but he
Yeah,
died.
but I'm just saying, like, you know, I wasn't gonna pretend
You know what?
to
Here's
be
the
like, oh
lesson
my
in
god.
that. Here's the lesson in that is that guy died having had a possible incredible experience before he died. And he probably died way sooner than he expected, is my guess. It doesn't sound like
no,
he
wasn't particularly old.
Okay,
You're right.
so he missed an opportunity to live his life before he died. You know, he probably never got another chance to go back to Okinawa and perform on a
Oh, he
American
did not.
holiday.
He did not.
Right. So he fucked up that opportunity. So it's like you have to live your life because you never know when it's over. So bitching and moaning and being like, oh, I didn't get to spend this time with them or that. You know what? Like, experience the things you have instead of whining and bitching and moaning. Go fucking do something.
Yeah, I'm glad
Be
we
your
didn't
own
say his
person.
name because we really did read him.
Well, I mean, he's dead, so it's not like he can get mad at
Yeah,
us.
but people get so offended for the dead
I know.
sometimes.
People
and it's
get
just
so
like,
offended for whatever the fuck they think they need to be offended about.
well, yeah, everybody's offended all the time. Well,
Right.
but I saw on Facebook today, like some article about a lot of women, like rejecting feminism completely, like
Oh,
wanting
that's half
to
my
distance
act right
themselves.
now.
Yeah, and I know.
And it's not even rejecting feminism. It's rejecting the bullshit feminism that's out there right now.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been telling people
Yeah,
for
it's
months and months
bullshit.
now. That I know
That's
so
not
many real
equality,
women that
that's-
are not down with it.
It's not equality. Like, there's the two aspects of it that you see. It's either the man bashing, we're better than men, patriarchy needs to crumble feminists. That I'm like, that's not equality. You're not better than them. You're not trying to switch it. It's a level of equality.
Yeah.
The other side of it are the women who are like, men are awful and horrible and will hurt us and we need to stick together and only be encouraged and around other women. We're telling you we are still we're weaker because we have to huddle together to be protected from the big bad man. That's not equality.
Yeah.
Equality is when you can go toe to toe and be strong enough in who you are as a woman and know your strengths and be toe to toe with a man and not be afraid and not feel like you're better than. To be able to look them in the eye and say, we are equals.
Yeah.
And here's how I show you that.
Well, that's what bothers me.
And not be bothered if they don't see it.
Yeah, well, that's what bothers me when people jump in with the "you would talk to a woman like that" argument.
Right.
It's always like what? Like I would talk to anybody else that I thought was being full of shit right now?
Yeah. Are you telling me I have to dumb it down?
Yeah, because
or
I'm not
what?
physically intimidating her right now. I'm
Right.
not threatening her. I'm talking to
Right.
her like I would talk to anybody else that I'm
Right.
in this exchange with.
Right.
But
Well, it's the
now you're
idea-
pulling on me because it's a woman. And
Right.
it's like, that's not the way it works. I had that happen with my apartment manager not
Yeah.
too long ago. And that was pretty annoying to me. It was a situation where I had been waiting on a key for literally 2 months,
Yeah.
like a gate key.
Right.
And I was waiting on this gate key. And, it's been 2 months, so it's not
Right.
like I'm being impatient.
Yeah.
So me and the wife start talking about it. She tries to get loud with me. I get loud with her.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the key. It's
Right.
not like personal insults or whatever.
Yeah, you're
It's
not
just
punching.
like,
There's not.
yeah, I just need a key. That's what needs to happen. You didn't tell
Right.
me. And, it was
Right.
like, this is what we're talking about. So he comes out all pissed off and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then starts telling me that a man is supposed to talk to a man. And I was like, she is the manager
Yeah.
of the apartment building. That's what she introduced
Yeah.
me to herself
Right.
as. So if she says she's the manager and I
She's
have
the
a problem
manager.
that the manager needs
Yeah.
to handle, then that's who
Well,
I've
and
been
if
talking
she's going
to.
to get loud with you, you have every reason to get loud back.
Yeah, and over the 2 months, like I would casually ask her about it when I would either see her in the hall or
Yeah.
she'd just be out in the back. And I would casually ask her about it, and each time that she gave me a different reason why it wasn't there, I was cool about it and I was
Right.
pleasant. It was only when she got like annoyed with me, and it's like, how
And,
do you have the
needed
nerve?
to take care of this 2 months ago.
Yeah, and how do you have the nerve to be upset with me right
Right.
now when I'm just the asshole waiting for my key?
Right. There's going to be a point where you're going to get more irritated than you can quell.
Yeah, and so then he was like saying that, and I told him, I was like, no, this is the way I look at it. I was like, because there's a Food for Less right up the street from us. I never go to Food for Less because there's shit fucking groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, there's a Food for Less up the street from us. So I looked at him while he was talking. I was like, I look at it this way. I was like, if a woman is the manager at Food for Less, and I have a problem at Food for Less, am I going to ask her to talk to her husband?
Right. No.
So that's the same way I looked at with my apartment manager. And
Yeah.
he was like, well, actually, both of us manage it. And really the way, because like he began to see what I was saying
Right.
when we
But
were
then
talking.
he still had to he still has to go home with that woman.
Yeah. And so what he said was, because when I explained to him like how she had escalated
Right.
it, because she was basically accusing me of lying in the way that things had gone down, and it was like, why would I lie? I just need the key.
You're like, would you just get me the fucking key?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's all I want.
yeah, it's not about
You
all
know?
this like,
It doesn't need to
deeper.
get dramatic, but can you please get me the key?
Yeah, and so what I did was I called the owner of the building because I had dealt with him at one point,
Yeah.
and so I called him and I was like, "Yeah, your managers don't know what they're doing,
Right.
and
I
like,
need this key. Can you make sure that happens?
yeah,
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like
got a key right away though. Like,
Yeah, I
five
bet you did.
5 minutes later, I think it was like
You're like, oh, thanks. Well, it's just yeah, that's insanity. But yeah, like that level of just, the feminism that's just it's so hypocritical. It's so double standardy, and it's like, well, we want what we want, but we want it when we want it. But then sometimes we want other things. And I get it. We're irrational as women. We are.
yeah,
We're crazy. And any woman any woman that says that they're not is full of shit. We are, because we deal with so many hormone level things. There is at least once a month that we're fucking crazy.
yeah.
And it's not usually just once a month. We are all crazy, but there's at least that period of time where even if it's mild, we're a little fucking crazy.
Yeah, well, that's why it's better to be an individual rather than a movement.
Right.
That's why I never want my friends to look at me as like the gay demographic in the
Right.
group. You know,
Right.
I'm Ty, I'm me.
Well, and that's the thing is like there was an incident recently in the Phoenix scene where one of our male comics was accused of some like sexually inappropriate either comments, but then suddenly it became grabbing, and I had not heard this rumor. I've known the guy a long time, never been disrespectful to me, never ever inappropriate, and he's been flirtatious, but never crossed a line. So I hadn't even heard this initial rumor, and then I guess what had happened is someone was having a private message with him and said, "This rumor's going around, I guess, and I don't like hearing that people are saying these things about you." And his response was like, he's like, whatever, like, I don't even know what it's about.
Uh-huh.
And then, again, she reiterates, like, I just don't want people talking about it. And basically what he said back, and it was probably not the best response, but when you're in a private message, you think you're talking to a friend and you're irritated. So you might answer back a little harsher than you would out in the public. But he responded with something along the lines of, well, I'll take that with a grain of salt, or considering that 90% of female comics are whores, I'll take that with a grain of salt. And when I read that, and this was a screenshot of their private conversation that was sent to someone else who then posted it in one of these all-female groups that I'm a member of, that I never asked to be a member of, but I am a member of. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, first of all, I don't like the way this is going down.
One of those female groups tried to just say the other day, and I just say this because it triggered it for me. One of them said that somebody had told somebody that my friend Courtney Banks had been sending me screenshots from an all-female group that talked a lot of shit about me.
Yeah.
And Courtney Banks did not do that. That was actually a white girl that was hoping to get on the road. So just
not me, just to clarify,
clear that
I didn't
up.
do that.
Oh yeah, and me and Amy Blackwell. See, because here's the thing. If I don't seek out people sending me screenshots. Actually, I've asked people publicly not to.
No, it's annoying.
No,
like,
I've asked
sometimes
them,
I don't want to fucking know what's going on.
yeah, I've asked them publicly not to send me screenshots. And so, when people volunteer information like that, that's what it is. It's not like
it's
me
gossip
seeking it out.
in a different form.
And I would tell if it was Courtney Banks because
you're honest and shit.
And also because Courtey Banks doesn't give a fuck. Like, or if she said it, she wouldn't give a fuck.
Right.
That's what I really feel like about Courtney Banks. Like, I know you haven't met Courtney yet, but she's an LA comic, and she's just I know some people might think she's bitchy or whatever, but to me she's just like a legit girl, like the kind of girl she is. She's being true to herself, in my opinion. So I respect Courtney a lot, and I like Courtney.
Well, in strength of character,
and I did her podcast, Hot Chicks Aren't Funny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's a great
Is she
girl.
hot?
Yeah,
Oh,
she is.
well, then that works.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing is like that first initially bothered me that this was a private conversation clearly that was now posted in a public place, be it a secret group or whatever, it's still a public place. And then to basically put up what everybody seems to be insulted by as the thing to be mad about, but then also allude to this possible sexual harassment. And not really, there's no facts there. There's no details. I don't know who's even accusing this person of the nonsense. So I had many issues when I initially read it. And here's the thing is when I read the 90% of female comics, blah, blah, blah. When I read that, I was not immediately affected or offended by that. One, because I know I'm in the 10% in this man's mind. And I know in legitimate, I'm in the 10%. Now, maybe his math was off, but he wasn't wrong. You know, I've seen plenty, because he goes on to say, like, I don't know how many times I've been offered sex for weed, Xanax, or stage time. I've seen it happen myself. You know, you see it. You see girls throw themselves at the bookers so that they can get stage time.
Yeah, but that works always, you know, like that's why I just say the most important thing is for people to be individuals,
Right.
And not, you know, like you don't have to be a part of any particular group to make sure that people respect you.
Right.
You don't. I
you
don't
just
think
have
any
to
of us
put in the
need that.
work and show that you deserve respect because you work hard and you get better and you become
also
good.
respect other people, and
Yeah.
also like there's a lot of things you can do, a lot of ways, you know, that you can just carry yourself where people will
Right.
treat you with respect.
Right. And that was the thing that's for me when I saw that, like that bothered me. And so I went to the guy and I was like, you need to maybe tell me what's going on because there's this thing happening. And so it ended up turning into this big thing. And then I was you know, yelled at because how dare I go to him? And I'm like, how dare I? You posted this thing for people who don't even know this person. And they're getting an immediate like, oh, he's a piece of shit creep. And they've never met him, so you're not even allowing these people to do their own.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody
fucking-
does. I've
Yeah.
had that done to me a million times. Like
Yeah.
that's a story that I'm very familiar
Oh,
with.
and it's
just
to
because,
me, it's shit.
yeah, well, I agree.
Let people get their own opinion.
I agree, but like people also, in a way, I feel like the people that just go with that blindly are punishing themselves.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of cases, they're missing out on meeting a good person
Yeah.
or somebody that can help them out with some stuff. Or,
Right.
And it's just because somebody said something and it's unconfirmed even from the bottom.
Exactly.
It's just
But
like,
immediately it puts that in the back of your head. And so no matter what, when you meet that person, that's where your mind's going to go to. Like, oh, this is the guy that.
yeah,
blah,
and
blah,
that's
blah,
the
blah,
way
blah.
people have tried to ruin each other, and that's
Yeah,
what's
and it's
kind of
just
made
stupid.
this, like, you know, all fall apart, is because
Yeah.
after a while, people started getting like, no, everybody can't be this terrible.
Right.
Like, we all know so many good people.
Right.
But we're supposed to, instead of believing our own eyes,
Yeah.
we're supposed to believe blogs.
Right. Right. And that's the thing is like obviously we work in a very competitive field in comedy. Obviously, we are all competing to be on that stage. But the thing is, we don't have to not be a community. We don't, you know, there's nothing is going to be hurt by encouraging others and being happy for their successes.
Yeah, but that's where more people need to break off and just make the community where they need to, because
Right, but
like,
consider it is still an individual sport. It's just you, and that's okay, you know, but worry about you. Be part of the community, but yeah, worry about you. Don't worry about telling everybody who you don't
yeah,
like.
but that's what I mean. Like, because right now in LA, as much
Mm-hmm.
shit as people talk in LA
Yeah.
about, like, you know, how people are there and stuff like that, and all of that does exist. But my circle and the people that are around me, even like in the more extended
Yeah.
circle, are all good people and
Right.
trying to get somewhere.
Right.
And so I feel like in a lot of cases that again goes back to people pleasing, because a lot of people think that they have to allow other people to be around just to be a nice person.
Right.
And I feel like, you know, if you contribute nothing, I don't have to just be nice to you if you're
No.
nice, to be a nice person.
No.
Like, especially some people are even a little bit destructive in the scene, and it's like, one, you don't have a talent, two,
Right.
you're not putting in the work,
Right.
and then
I don't
I'm
want
supposed
to
to
be
treat
around
you
you.
like you're
Yeah.
an equal, or that I want you around, you're
No.
welcomed around me. No, I'd rather not be around you.
Right, but you don't. What you don't do in that a lot of people do is go to other people and say, well, this person, because you don't like him. You once
No, I
you
cut
walk
that
away,
off
you
right
don't
at
even
the
care.
source.
You don't even care. Like, you walk away and they are not in your thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. If you don't like someone, keep them out of your head.
Yeah.
The more you dwell on what they're doing and what you're not doing and how they got that gig and you didn't get that gig and blah, 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 the less time you're spending writing jokes and performing and getting good at it.
Keep them out of your head,
You know?
your mouth, your Facebook,
Yeah.
everything. No antagonizing. No, they just don't exist. That's why, like, every once in a while, I'll have a friend get mad at me when I'm, like, play trolling them.
Right.
And it'll really get on my nerves because it's like, oh, no, if I really felt that way about you, I wouldn't even talk to you.
You'd be blocked.
Yeah, I'm just, just gave you a quick, like, what's up in my way.
Right.
And then you fucking do something fun back, but every once in a while I have people try to go for the jugular on me, and it's just like.
You're like, okay, you missed the point.
Yeah.
And the joke.
And this is where I take them.
And-
This is where it's
well,
all me, boo-boo.
This is where shit goes
Facebook
down.
is what I do. But yeah.
Facebook. Yeah, it's
So
just keep your eyes on your own paper,
yeah.
Keep your eyes on your own paper. You can have friends in the community. You can be encouraging to those people. You can be happy for anyone's successes, but worry about you.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with other people feeling other ways about things. That's another thing that's important from this episode for people to take.
But
everybody has a right to their own feelings.
But you don't have to engage
expressing
with it.
emotion the way they want to.
Yeah.
Everybody has a right to be
and
the person they are.
disappointment, any of those things. Like, yeah. Just allow people to be who they are, because it's hard enough to try to be open and honest with who we are in this business and not feel completely exposed, And so the more we're encouraged to be who we are, the better we are at comedy, and the more comfortable we become in our honesty. So
yeah, and that's what my thing is. I just want to
to
get to a point where I'm 100% me on stage.
Yeah.
And also with my Facebook, the way that I do things, in a lot of cases, I just want people to know that I'm allowed to think whatever I want to think, and I'm allowed to ask any question that I want to ask. Like, sometimes I just have a question, and some people might feel like that's offensive that I'd even entertain anybody else's
and they're
thinking.
allowed to respond.
Yeah, but
it doesn't mean you're not going to respond back.
But I think the main thing people need to get with that kind of stuff in me is a lot of times I am legitimately trying to learn something or pull out a different point of view.
Right.
So when they try to act like I'm not even supposed to express that, it's like, no, that's how I can figure this out.
You're
That's
like,
how
I'm
I can hear
legitimately
other
trying
people.
to grow as a person right now.
Yeah, like some people said the Standing Rock thing. A lot of people are all about the Standing Rock thing.
Right.
And like I get that and stuff like that. Today I met somebody that said, yeah, fuck them. About,
and at that point you're like, well, I want to understand what your perspective is
exactly.
here.
So I heard them out, and in the end, I still feel the way I do.
Right,
I'm with Standing Rock.
But when you allow for someone with a differing opinion to present their points, and you legitimately listen, and you consider with the knowledge you have and your own research, and you consider what they're saying, you have grown as a person, and you've allowed them to grow as a person, because you're going to sit there, you're going to process it, you're going to still continue to think
and for
what you
them
think,
to say it in
but
such
then
a
you
bold
can
way.
present your opinions back.
Yeah, and for them to say it in such a bold way.
Right.
I figured they had to have
a reason for feeling that way, unless they were just fucking around. But yeah,
I heard them out. I just wasn't feeling it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
but you considered that what they felt, and you thought about it, and you weighed it against what you already felt, and you still came up with your same conclusion. But that,
and then another party came in and said something a bit more to support that.
Right.
And not support it, but just give more of a balance.
That's the thing, is when you have more information, your mind is able to make better connections, better decisions about it.
Yeah, this is
so
what
that
I do.
helps you, even if it's the same outcome mentally. Like if you're like, yeah, no, I still believe that they're in the right for protesting, or whatever. You at least considered someone else's thoughts, and that's something we don't do anymore. People get mad because there's a debate and they don't like what you said, and so you're blocked. And it's like, how did you grow in any way?
Yeah, but a lot of people don't want to debate at all. What they want to do is vent, and they want to call it debating.
Right.
Like,
right.
They'll
They'll
also try to act like they're asking you questions, and then really they They just want
They're
to.
setting up a point that they want to make.
Yeah, but like there's so much opinion that you can't even find the question. Sometimes it's like,
Right.
okay, was that a question or was that just you
Right. You're like,
telling
it
me?
seemed like you told me a whole thing there and then asked me a question as though I'm supposed to just go, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Am I just supposed to agree with you or am I supposed to counterpoint
And
that?
then I tell people that the other day this girl told me I was attacking this girl on Facebook because I called that out. And I was just like, no, but just I don't want to have to read that long to, like
right.
just ask your question. That's the
Right.
way we learn about each other, and then when
Yeah.
I say
Well,
something to
ask
that,
your
then
question, and then if you feel like you need to, here's why I want to know what your answers are, and blah 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 blah. Put that in underneath, but ask the question, and allow people to go, okay, that's the question. Now, why does she want to know it? And they can read that if they want to.
Yeah, but there's still sometimes just too much opinion in a lot of this.
Everything's
where it's like,
editorialized.
yeah, it's just like, just ask me the question. That's the best way. Like, cause like when they said like take for example the fuck Standing Rock situation. Like when they said that, it wasn't like I was like, well, don't you think that we should? And
right.
like
you were like, why do you think that?
Yeah, it's just that's it.
That is, and that's debate. That's actual and it's seeking out knowledge.
Yeah, and then if I
know?
had, like a rebuttal or something like that, but at that point, really, I like, during that particular conversation, because everything I've heard has been on the other side.
Right.
In that particular conversation, I just wanted to stay 100% quiet and just hear them out.
Well, right.
So I wasn't adding anything or debating on any level. That truly was learning and listening.
Yeah. No, exactly. And if we did more of that, just listening, to learn, we would be a much better society right now.
Well, yeah,
because the internet is essentially all of the internet is an op-ed piece with no editor at the paper. It's just everybody and their opinions are getting printed, whether there's facts or any reasoning, and nobody's like.
I think intelligent people though are starting to get conversation out of Facebook. I've noticed a lot of people, like even on my page, where people will just have a legitimate conversation. Like the other day, there was this sub thread on something I posted about the alt-right, and this guy and this girl were going back and forth in a very respectful way.
I love that.
And it was so good that I didn't even want to
interject at all.
Yeah, comment on it. I thought I had opinions on stuff they were saying.
But sometimes allowing that and just watching it unfold and and reading, and then by the time you get to the end, all your points were made.
Yeah, and then also sometimes it risked like the feeling of like now we're ganging up on one person.
I don't want to cut it. Yeah, I don't want to cut this debate short because of
Yeah, and throwing shit. But like it was interesting to read, and I'm noticing a lot more of that. Maybe it's just, and maybe I also do make the mistake of like thinking everybody's world is as great as mine in certain ways like that.
Well, yeah, sometimes we need a little perspective so that we can understand other people and what their worldview is and why. When we can do that, when we can.
Yeah, but I still go back though to the thing being that it really is people want me to take on their emotions, because I've let people know in like a lot of cases,
you should be upset about this.
But I'm like, I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying.
And I agree, Black lives do matter, but I don't need to
that
lose
one
my
I've been
fucking
over,
mind.
but I was going to say that I will agree on certain things they're saying.
Right. Yeah.
But just like
it's like I don't need to join your movement to feel like I'm making a difference in that.
Yeah, and I don't have to even like buy into the same emotion you're having. Right. Like that's the way they kind of.
Yeah, it's feel this way, or you're not feeling right. And it's like, allow us to feel however the fuck we're going to feel. I don't, I'm affected by things that happen in this world, but I don't have to be so affected that I can't function within my own.
Yeah.
That was a very pregnant pause. Yeah, we don't have to take on your emotional attachment to something. It's like when people post pictures, and here's the thing: is we also don't have to fight against it.
Yeah, no. What I was trying to get at was the thing about people actually starting to converse and that, like,
Yeah.
like,
Conversation is how we grow as people.
I agree.
Intellectually, like philosophy and debate are why we're a society, why we have infrastructure, why we have government, is because we've talked and understood and debated and understood that, like, we're not all the same. We don't all feel the same about everything. And that's okay. We just have to find a way to work together to be a better society. That debate is so important.
Yeah,
And it's so
also,
easy now to
but
just
there's
block it
also
out.
not a lot of, like, that's one thing that like, there's not a lot of people wanting to compromise sometimes on that, which,
Yeah.
like, is starting to change a bit more.
Well, it's
But
fine to not compromise, but allow the other
yeah, but
story to be told.
yeah, but like, in a lot of cases, it's like the people are too stubborn on both sides.
Yeah.
Like, they're polar opposites, and they're not trying to find a compromise, because this
Right.
side can only hear their side, this side can only hear their
Right.
side, and they're not really, like, willing to.
They're so strong held in those beliefs that they're not going to waver or really listen. Is that what you mean? Like, to the other argument, they're just not really ever going to listen?
No. What do you have coming up?
I have no fucking idea. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be attending a shotgun wedding of a relative soon.
Okay.
A real quick wedding got put together in my family, and I'm guessing in about 7 months we're gonna have a new member. But that's just family stuff. Otherwise, excuse me. I do have a new show that is premiering at the Tempe Improv December 14th.
December 14th, Tempe Improv.
Tempe Improv. It's called Comedy Chops. And it is based on the TV show Chopped on the Food Network.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's 4 competitors. They will be given mystery topics in 3 rounds. At the end of each round, one will get chopped. We'll have some great comics as the judges that will also act as the timer for the comics to write. And yeah, it's a really fun competition show. And God dang it. I hope we can edit Amy dying in the background. It's a really fun show. I host it, and it'll be at the Tempe Improv December 14th, I believe, 8 p.m. And right now, if you're in the Phoenix area and you want to come, we've got a discount code, Holiday Chops, and it gets you 2-for-1 tickets. So it's going to be super, super fun show.
Holiday Chops.
Holiday Chops gets you 2-for-1s.
And it's they would go to the website for that.
Yeah, tempeimprov.com, I believe, is the full website. It's listed on their calendar. You can just click on the link, put in that code at checkout, gets you, basically, I think they're makes the tickets $5 each.
All right. So other than that, people can find you in and around town.
Absolutely. I'm all over, Phoenix here and there. My website is amyblackwellcomedy.com. So you can go to my website and get dates, upcoming dates, and different stupid shit.
amyblackwellcomedy.com.
And I'm at Blackwell.
At Blackwell?
Yep, at Blackwell on Twitter. So, but you can link up on my website.
You got just at Blackwell?
Yeah. At Blackwell Comedy.
Oh.
I wish I'd gotten just at Blackwell.
Okay.
I'm retarded right now. Sorry.
No. I'm just making sure, because I was like, Blackwell.
Wow, good job.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Must
When
have got
did you
in
get
early.
on
Did you? Did you know somebody?
No. I got Blackwell Comedy.
Verified?
I know. I wish, God, to be
just
verified.
Blackwell. That's got to be verified.
I'm at B. Just the letter B.
Just
I get on Twitter on day 2.
That would be great.
Yeah, so you can go to my website. You can link up to me on there and find out what else I'm up to. You can catch me. I was on the Doug Stanhope podcast a couple months ago. That was a lot of fun. you want to listen to that.
What's his podcast?
I think it's just the Doug Stanhope podcast.
The Doug Stanhope podcast.
Yeah, it was a real fun time. A couple months, 2-3 months ago, we did it and got to hang out at the fun house and
I'll have to
everything.
listen
So,
to
and
it.
I would love to shout out, please, Bingo, don't be the next dead person we have to talk about on Ty's podcast. Get better. I don't know if you know this, but Doug's girl, Bingo, had a head injury on her birthday.
Okay.
And so she was in a coma for a bit. She's getting better. It seems like she's kind of coming out of it, but it's a little bit of a process, a little bit of a road ahead of her. So, I just want to send my best wishes to Bingo and get better and,
Get better, Bingo.
And I'm turning 40 soon. And I don't know. I think I would love to take a Bingo nap for my 40th birthday like she did. I'm like, she knows how to nap, that one. Now, that may sound insensitive, but Doug would love hearing it. Speaking of how we all deal with tragedy and grief.
Uh-huh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can be found at americasfavoritefag.com. This is Unbothered by Ty Rivera, and we are out of here.
Peace.